Well, hello, wealthy women. I am so very excited about today's interview because it is something so different for me. And I know it is so, when I had the chance to speak with Rachel, it was just so beautiful and enlightening. And I learned so much. And I just know that she's going to do the same for you. This is definitely going to be a fun and interesting interview. So rather than let me talk away, let me pass you over to Rachel right now, and she will share who she is, what she's doing in this world, and where you can reach out and find more of her work so you can connect with her. So take it away, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so happy to be here as well. And I think your energy is just so amazing. So I think that's why we just get along so well. But
Yes.
so yeah, I'm Rachel and I'm a tarot reader, or I call myself an intuitive coach for badassery. So what how I started is I just started reading books about, the cards and the occult and mysticism and symbols and things like that when I was probably before I was a teenager, and I just kind of read all about that. It just always fascinated me. And as I kind of grew, I ended up really getting kind of fixated on the tarot cards and just absolutely loving them. And so I started reading professionally at 18. Um, and I started doing kind of all the psychic fairs and kind of doing all the metaphysical shops and everything. And loving it, but I always kind of felt like something was missing with the tarot cards. And like for people that were around me were just, for example, they would just be like, um, oh, I see big changes happening to you, and then just kind of stop the reading. And it's like, well, what? And what if I don't want changes? What if I love my life and I don't want to change? Or, or the opposite, right? Of like, what if everything looks the same? And I was just noticing that the cards weren't just doing that next step, that next process of how to get someplace or what to do with this information. And so I started really learning more about like life coaching and kind of getting more into like the psychology of change and neuroplasticity and things like that to kind of understand. So now when I do readings, it's more of like, okay, here I'm seeing some changes. Do we want the changes? Do we not like the changes? And then that way I can also use the power of intuition and the power of the cards with combination of life coaching. So we can find out if this is what you want. I always emphasize with all my clients that the future is not in stone. It can be changed. It can be changed very easily. We can look in the past and find our triggers, find what, our fears are and things like that. And the cards can definitely help with, the past, to see where we're going. But then I think it takes that extra something to move you past where you want to become wealthy or how to change the world or what are your next steps even. And so now I really do a lot of focusing on entrepreneur women and women that want to change the world and how to help them. And I kind of feel like if I can help teach them, then they can continue to change this world and make this world a better place.
I love this. And what is the website that everyone can find you at? Just before we
Yeah,
forget to mention that.
yeah. You can find me at tarotreadingsbyrachel.com.
Okay, I love that you sort of took this really, you went into the whole psychology really of self-discovery, self-analysis, intuition, all of the things that, a lot of us coaches are really trying to get to the center of someone's, real essence, their soul's purpose, and so forth. And so I wanted to ask you, like, for me, even, like, how do you let someone know that what you're doing, maybe some people are thinking, oh, that's just outside of maybe my faith or my religion, but they're interested. How do you, I'm sure this question comes up, and then maybe some people shy away from it. How can you explain it in a way that would make someone feel like they're not doing something outside of their faith? And it
Yeah.
because even I on our first interview I said I've never, it's just not on my path. But then when we started speaking, it was so interesting, and I realized it's really, you know a lot different than I had originally maybe I had the idea of. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Hollywood has really kind of changed that up, unfortunately. They've really kind of made the cards into a very scary kind of thing, but they're not. That's not their intentions at all. And it does not take away from anybody's religion. So it was first kind of started as an Italian game called Tarachi, and it was just kind of a game with face cards and things like that. And then as the years have progressed, the French kind of took over and made the first deck of what we kind of know of today, and how we use that. So these cards have a lot of like symbology, and that's why each card and each deck is very personal to the reader. It's whatever is really personal for them, on how to read. And so, like for example, with my cards, I have like Hebrew letters and astrology and elements and I Ching and runes. So like all of these combinations, but they don't take away from anybody's religion. That's what's really important. And a lot of the times, like I'll use the death card, for example. Hollywood has loved the death card and has made it such a scary kind of thing. But to be honest, it's one of my favorite cards because death represents like that death and rebirth in our life. So I kind of call it as like the a new chapter in your life. And what I love about the death card is that it's change that we wanted. So, for example, the death can represent like quitting your job to become an entrepreneur, where you have this new fresh slate, new clean chapter in your life, and now you get to rewrite what what you want your future to look like. So it is one of my favorite cards, actually. So but yeah, it's unfortunate that it's kind of taken a wrong
no, but
turn.
you explain it so well, and that's why I wanted to ask it, because I want the idea of this to be more open to more people because of those ideas. But it's more like you can sense and read a person's energy based on what they're seeing or what the cards are seeing, and this helps you lead them into the areas of life that are already probably in their heart and soul that they want to
Yeah.
pursue. And it's just another manner of getting to the root of their desires and helping them
Mhm.
on their path. And I love that you have brought in this whole life coaching and the neuroplasticity and the intuition, because that's really so much about what we are about. It's our energy, it's how we react to things, whether it's a good feeling or a negative feeling. It's all leading us to help us get better along on our path, and this is just one
Yeah.
starting point that you have, but it leads into the whole idea of coaching someone to find their best path and self and to really learn about what they really want to do in their life, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's another tool to utilize. And
Yes.
yeah, it's just a matter of like using my intuition to be able to kind of tap into things that might have been blocked, might have been forgotten, might have just kind of been displaced for a while. And we can work
Yes.
together to be able to bring that kind of back up to the forefront and change our narrative if that's what we're wanting.
I love that, because so often, we can't see the blocks that we have. We can't feel them. I was actually speaking to one of my clients earlier today, and it was amazing because I was telling her about a certain block that I had, that I'm very self-reflective and intuitive and all the things, and I've always been, very centered and quiet. I thought I knew most everything about myself. And
Oh yeah, we
well, was
think we
I
do,
surprised? Yeah.
huh?
It took a coach to realize it was a money block, but it took a coach to call me out on a money block, and she was able to create the reality for me, the awareness of me, the acceptance and the change within a 15-minute period, and why it happened and where it came from. And that was amazing to me because, like I said, I'm a coach. I should know this stuff, right? And sometimes we can't even see it. And so it takes somebody else to see what we can't see. And like you can pick up on things that the person themselves doesn't even realize that they're probably um, sharing out there to you, and you
Absolutely.
can sense it. So I
Yeah,
think it's so
exactly.
important, like, the work that you're doing, or others are doing, that they can help others see what they can't see in themselves. And I just think it's pretty amazing. So I think it's very, very
Yeah.
interesting. Yes. And I just really am excited to ask you some success questions, because this is the round that we do that really help, especially the women business owners that are needing some inspiration or guidance, and motivation. And I love these success questions because it really is a great way to share your own feelings and processes, and it'll help so many others at the same time. So are you ready
Love
to
it.
get
Love
started?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it.
First of all, I wanted to, before we even get into the big things, I wanted to ask you, why did you decide that this was your mission? Why did you want to go in this path? And how did you know it was for you? Like, beyond, it's sort of like that great love you find sometimes. You just know it is this person, and everyone else is just not that person. And so this same thing can happen. You fall in love with your career path. How did you
Hmm.
know? Like, why did you choose this?
Yeah, yeah. So I had always been doing it, and sometimes I would do it full time as my job, and then sometimes I would do it as part time. And I tried focusing on business. So I got a business degree during this, 30 years of reading, and then um, kind of got a big smack in the face and had to change direction. And then I decided to do nursing. And as I was doing nursing and doing things, I got a big smack upside the face. And what occurred to me is that every time I try to go a different direction, I kind of get that universal two by four, is what I call it,
Ah,
is where,
love.
and I don't want to call it a failure, but at the
No.
same time, I call it like, a big smack of like, you're going the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yes.
And so I've gotten several of those of these smacks of like, why do you keep going a different direction? And what always leads me back is the cards. And I had realized that as soon as I just put all my energy into my business and the cards and helping other women and things like that, my money grows tremendously as soon as I start focusing on, kind of that alignment of what the universe is saying, what my heart is saying. When I'm in alignment, everything just works out so much better and so great, better than what I could have imagined. And so it's taken me a few times of kind of getting out of that path and jumping back on to go,
Yes.
now I know what feels right, because I know what doesn't feel right.
I love that you said this because I can relate to this
Mhm.
absolutely. And I think most of us can. And I think what it comes down to is we don't trust that it could be that good.
Yeah,
We're like, it's work. It's not supposed to
yeah,
feel that good. It's not supposed
yeah,
to feel like something I would do for free. And I think we doubt it. And
yeah,
and I think that we need to, we say, okay, well, let's follow the proper path. Let's just call it,
exactly.
whatever that means. But, we
Hmm.
do it and we're like, okay, on paper it looks good, but it doesn't feel good. And we know that we cannot sustain something that doesn't feel good for the long haul. We
Yeah,
can do it temporarily, but then there comes that two by four that you're talking about, where it's like enough. And you do have to, I always call it failing forward, but you do have
yeah,
to kind of go through that. And yes, and I love it. And you know what? Isn't it the most beautiful thing when you line up with who you really are, you truly accept it, you realize it is a gift to others and that you're going to be serving and helping. And then it just, when
Yeah,
you trust it and you own it and you don't doubt it, like you said,
it just flows.
it just flows. It's
Yeah,
a beautiful thing.
it is.
I think it's one of the main steps to self-love,
Yeah,
and
I
then
love
you get
it.
rewarded for
Yeah.
for loving yourself. And it's
Yeah,
funny how we run away from it immediately,
I
in the
know.
beginning.
It's like
We
it
just
feels
don't.
too good. Yeah, I don't
Yes,
deserve it.
yeah,
Well, that's all
it can't
part
be
of that
this
narrative.
easy.
Yeah,
What's that?
that's all part of that narrative that sometimes we develop of like, I'm not worthy of this. It's too good. So let me try a different direction. And the universe is like,
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
Yes, exactly. Well, I love that answer because it resonates, and I know it's going to resonate with everybody because I think that is the journey, part of the journey anyway.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, let's see. I wanted to ask you if you could only choose one answer on why you would suggest to another woman to start and go and grow her business because it's a form of self-empowerment. What would you say is the best form of self-empowerment that building a business can do for another?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Um, I think it's to start your own business and to do what you love is like one of the greatest gifts that you can offer the world. Because if you're doing what you love and are making a living at doing what you love, we can keep um, like teaching future generations how to also do that. And then if everybody's doing what they love, I know this is where my hippie soul comes out, right?
I
Is that
love it.
if everybody's doing what they love, then that can just add more peace to this world and more
Yes.
enlightenment to this world. I don't know if you're familiar with, do you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yes, of course.
So
Absolutely.
it's
Mhm.
kind of that concept of like, as we, develop that all of our
Basic
physical is
survivals.
yeah, is taken care of,
Mhm.
we get to go up. And so I always kind of talk about that self-actualization and I think if we can all reach that, but then I really wish there was another one on top of that that said teaching self actualization. And so if we can all get to that self actualization, then we can start teaching each other how to do that as well.
Yes.
And by owning our own business and being empowered, we can empower others to teach that self actualization to others.
Absolutely, because we're walking that dream come true, right? And we're modeling that, hey, I went for my dream. I'm so happy. I'm making money. I'm helping others. It is working. And when we see enough people doing that, then we
Mhm.
maybe don't have to do the 2x4 smacks. We just start to trust, right? That
Hmm.
it can be that joyful. It can be that easy in the way that it's meant for you and this is your true calling. And I really love that, and it's so true. And it's actually one of the reasons why I love all of the women networks now, that we're seeing other women doing it, and it truly is planting in us now. It's changing our biochemistry now. We're seeing it enough where there's the Amy Porterfields and there's the Marie Forleos and there's and all the others that maybe aren't
Hmm.
brand names, but they're making it and they're happy. And we're like, all of a sudden, we're like, wow, before I thought that was impossible, but she's doing it, she's doing it, she's doing it. Well, I can do it. Why
Hmm.
can't I do it? And it
Yeah.
is fantastic. I think this is such a beautiful time for women because
Hmm.
we're not competing, we are collaborating and we're being inspired by others and inspiring others. So yeah, this is why
Yes.
I love this story with you. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let me ask you another question. Um do you agree that mindset is more important than systems and strategies?
Yes. I mean, I think there's a little bit of both, but definitely mindset. Especially so like I listen to affirmations every night when I go to bed. And by the time I wake up in the morning, I have like all of these new creative ideas to start working with for the next day. And so I truly believe that's all part of that mindset of like, yes, I have got every um every universal power that is going for me instead of against me. So it's just a matter of doing it. And I think that's all part of that mindset that if we can definitely think it, we'll also pay attention to the helpers that come in and the teachers that come in that are going to continue to launch us. If we don't have that mindset, we're going to miss them. We're going to say no to people that we shouldn't be. And I think that's hard.
It's such a great answer. And I love that you just said that you do affirmations every evening. And that kind
Mhm.
of brings me to a next question. And I always call them wealthy woman habits, but what type of success routines or that you do daily that keep you, whether it's a morning routine or obviously you have an evening routine. So what are some of the things you have to do every single day or your day just feels a little off if you don't somehow
Yeah.
do it?
Yeah, I have to go to sleep listening to affirmations. And it's everything from being in a healthy body to, accepting abundance to, being courageous. Like there's so many different affirmations that I listen to, but I have to, and I mean, like back when I was trying to fight the universe, I would end up drinking a bottle of wine and watching an old movie and trying to sleep that way. And then I'd wake up the next morning just not feeling, that I'm there. And I'm like, I've got to change this. So these affirmations is like, this is how I go to sleep now. This is how I feel refreshed. And in the morning, I'm able to go conquer the world. So
Yes.
I have to do these affirmations anymore.
Yes, I
Mhm.
love that. And what about any morning routines that you do?
Yeah, I also listen to like podcasts and I do meditate. So those are
Oh,
those things that,
they
and
center you. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's like, so then I can kind of take on the day by being able to just have that moment or listening to other people's success is what I love listening to. Because I think that just fuels my fire as well.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
It gives you that whole strength. Okay. I feel empowered now just by listening to someone who's empowered. And it becomes a, chain reaction in the best possible way for us women, especially. We need that. We need this, circle of women that we can rally that get us and understand us because
Mhm.
not everybody in our family or friend circle gets what we're doing. And it's so nice
Yeah.
that we have outlets now that we can really communicate and not
Mhm.
really have to try and explain ourselves. It's just we get it, we
Yeah.
understand each
Yeah.
other, right?
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
yes, I wanted to ask you another question about marketing. So a lot of business owners, when they're first starting out, there's so many choices, they don't know what to do. Would you have any success tips on how you might tell someone to market their business in the very beginning when they're just getting started?
Yeah. That's what I've kind of learned the hard way, of course. There's been some bumps and stuff, is that I've learned that just like the cards can be a little scary to a lot of people. But then look at me. I'm not scary. Not I'm not that like little
You're
lady.
adorable. You are so adorable.
But I'm not that like little, gypsy lady in a carnival and things like that. So I have to kind of, so my marketing has been like, I need to get my face and my story kind of out there. So people understand that I'm not scary. I'm not gonna give them a bad reading. I'm not, so my marketing has really been based on me, on like overcoming the stigma of the cards and kind of overcoming these you know
Preconceived notions.
yeah, exactly. So I've kind of had to just really put myself out there. So in the beginning I've had to do like really um reduced rates of coaching and cards and things like that so people can start like looking at me and hiring me so I can kind of get more and more into it. So I know it can get complicated, because you want to feel that you're getting back what you're putting into it. But it was a way for me by doing discounted rates and everything like that, that people could be like, oh, I get it, and start referring to other people. So my
Yes,
base is a lot of referrals. And then with podcasts where people can listen to me and understand my philosophy on the cards, people
yes.
again can go like, oh, okay, like, this isn't a bad thing, you know.
Exactly. And I thank you because that's one of the reasons I asked you that question right at the beginning, because I just wanted to get past that, because I know, this whole thing. And I love your answer about you are the marketing,
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
your story, your personality, your softness, and, your sweetness, you needed to share that. And it comes down to education, because whatever we don't always know, we just
Yeah.
fear, which is, maybe it's a natural human reaction. However, the only way to combat that is through awareness and education
Hmm.
repetitively, right? And I
Yes.
love
Yes.
that. And then, so this was a beautiful answer, really beautiful. And
Thank
in
you.
all honesty, it
Mhm.
is the correct answer at no matter what stage of business you are at. Your business is you. If it's your heart and soul, it's your passion, it's your mission, then really your voice, your enthusiasm, your face, where people can get familiar, that is that is going to be better than any Facebook ad you could ever pay for and hide behind a pretty picture of something.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that all those other things aren't
No,
resources
yeah.
that we should use, of course.
Yeah.
However, they're not a substitute for us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We have to show up. So
Hmm.
fantastic answer. I love it.
Absolutely.
What would you say is your number one professional tip for women to grow their businesses? So it's,
Mhm.
well, that's a little bit similar to marketing, but maybe not. Like how would you suggest that they really grow their business in it, or how have you decided to grow your business once you did your initial marketing? What was your path?
Yeah, it's just getting outside of my comfort zone. So doing the podcast have been outside of my comfort zone, but I've realized like what a great way for both of us to be able to work together. And so from there, I've met so many great people. So I think podcasts are an amazing way to help grow. And I love different like Facebook groups are great because then we can collaborate together and just be like, being able to talk to each other of like, I'm looking for somebody, and vice
Yeah.
versa, and be
So
able
it's the
to like,
whole networking.
it's a
Yes,
network.
the
Yes,
networking,
absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
it's a relationship business, really. I mean,
Yeah.
we may have products and services that we sell and that we're great at, and can be helpful, but the bottom line is, it's, yourself with another person, and that exchange, that relationship being built, and that transformation that comes of that. That's really the whole of it, no matter what type of business you have, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it's very personal, as it
Yeah.
should be. So, we call it
Hmm.
business, but it's very personal.
It's
So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And any networking that you can do, between Chamber of Commerce's and being able to volunteer even to be able to work with other people from all over the place. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love
Hmm.
that. That's a great answer also. So, um, okay, so how do you define success? Like, what does a day in the life of success look like for you? It could be anything, like
Yeah.
what's one of your favorite days that when they feel so super successful for you, you love it.
Yeah. I feel like being able to do what I want, and so part of it is like doing readings nonstop all day long. That's what I want. Like that's what I get to
Yes.
do. I get to help share that with others. Yes, granted, I need some of those down days, but I love being in a position where I can have my down days and not feel
Yeah.
bad about it,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
I can run like crazy and enjoy every single moment of being crazy as well.
I love that. And one of the key words you just said, because I pick up on these things, it's all also how you speak to yourself. You probably know what I'm going to say. Rachel said, I get to, not I have to.
Yep.
So that's a big, big sign, lady. So if you
Hmm.
find yourself going through your day quite often saying, I have to do this, I have to, I should, I have to, this may indicate that you are on the wrong path. You might when you are blessed doing the work that you love, and like Rachel said, not every day. You're going to have days where you're just tired or you're just not into it, but the majority of your days are a gift of, I'm so excited I get to do this. And
Mhm.
I love that languaging. That
Mhm.
languaging is spot on, perfect.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes. And it gives us that natural energy to go and do the things
Yeah,
that we get to do, right?
exactly. And it just keeps that fire going.
Absolutely. Okay, this is a good one. So sometimes women get a little confused as to, what is my soul's purpose? And we did touch on this, when you feel like you got the 2x4 or the I have to do this kind of thing. But when they want to take it to another level, what practices would you suggest for them getting in touch with their own soul's purpose or their spiritual connection? Do you have any advice for them?
Oh, come see me. I can help with that.
I love that. That's the best answer ever. Oh, absolutely.
Resist.
Absolutely the
I
truth.
couldn't resist.
I agree. I support that comment. That's great.
But but I think that does take that self-awareness and doing a lot of journaling and a lot of things and like yeah, kind of looking around you of like are you at a place where your life is full of enjoyment? If it's not, then you're doing it wrong. And then sometimes it takes having to do several things, like for me from the cards business, nursing, all of these different things, and that's all kind of part of it. It's not like it's wasted time to
Sure.
try and do all these different things, but it also lets you know, where you will find enjoyment. So for example, it's kind of that like cliche, right? Of like, oh, if you enjoy animals so much, well, why don't you do something with animals? Go be, open a dog walking business, be a veterinarian, any of that kind of stuff. Um, and then the money just flows.
Yeah, absolutely. If
Mhm.
you are on your purpose, right? If you're on your
Mhm.
purpose, you're following your desire, the how and the when may, be the question mark, but it will happen and you will enjoy and it will be, you're on your path that is meant for you, right? I always say
Yeah,
if the desire's in your heart, it's meant to show up in your life. It's just a
and it
matter
will
of when.
keep showing up.
Yes, exactly. When and how. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So, another question is, how do you deal with fear and doubt? Especially like, a lot of women business owners, I always relate it back to they get a little bit nervous being on camera, but even in general, any kind of fear and doubt. What is your go-to way to summon up courage?
Yeah, I like listening to stories of other people that have conquered their fears and you know, their courage and how they've overcome things. And like it just happened just the other day is that there's those moments that I get of like not everybody loves the cards, not sometimes this is too woo woo for the world, even though my my purpose is to make these cards mainstream
Yes.
and not be considered woo woo and stuff, that I want these cards to be something that everybody can just pick up. So, but by listening to other people kind of overcome that when I'm in doubt. So the other day, like I was listening to an interview with Talking Heads, David Byrne. I don't know if
Oh
you know,
yeah. Yes,
and
yes.
and it was talking about how so many people hated him, of like hated his music, didn't consider it music, and that, and I'm all like, wait a minute, he's one of my favorites. How
Yes.
can people say that? And I'm like, that's what it is. There's always going to be the people that are, against you or not understanding you. But there's a huge group of people that do understand you. And that's the group you need to focus on.
I love that you just brought that up because in my last interview, we were talking about how do you deal with the haters, basically.
Hmm.
And, a lot of people can let that stop them in their tracks. I think it's very strange experience to, initially, or maybe always, to be, an online presence with your business and you just know that you might that your work is beautiful and you're giving to the world and your heart is pure and all the things. but you might have just someone coming at you
Mhm.
for whatever reason. How would you suggest, if that happens to any of us, how would you suggest overcoming that?
I love the quote that, and I apologize, I don't know who it is, or but they had said never take advice from some, or never take criticism from somebody you wouldn't take advice from.
I
And
like
so yeah, if you look at them and go like, wow, you're telling me I'm in a bad place or that
that.
I'm not doing things right when I'm looking at your life, like,
Yes.
oh, like,
Yes.
yeah, no, no,
Okay.
we're on different levels.
Okay, well, let me counter that because I absolutely love that quote. Every time I see it, I'm like,
Hmm.
yes.
Hmm.
But let's just say, the quote, I mean, not the quote, the criticism comes from somebody maybe that is an admirable figure of sorts.
Sure.
Who knows? In your
Yeah.
opinion, whomever's opinion it is.
Yeah.
How would you suggest someone, maybe it's a family member or a friend that you truly love, and they just criticize what you're doing because they don't understand it. I had this happen to me. I
Hmm.
was just saying, because I named my program, I'm a money block coach, right? And I
Hmm.
I love this. The name of my program is Million Dollar Mind. I love it.
I love
It's
it. Hmm.
right. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. And so I had a very close friend just basically like, oh, so you're a millionaire now, and all the like toxic kind of energy. And I'm like, whoa, like,
Mm-hmm.
I help women with money blocks. It's a catchy name of my program,
Yeah.
but it made me, we talked about imposter syndrome because at the time, I'm not a millionaire at the time that I wrote that name, Million Dollar
Yeah.
Mind. And I'm not trying to, necessarily all the people that come to my course are going to be millionaires. That wasn't the idea, but it was my first real criticism, and I took it hard, and I felt like I had to over explain myself. It made me feel ashamed, like, am I doing something wrong? I felt like I wanted to hide, like, should I change my name? Like, I went through all of it, and I said, what do I do? It took me a while. It was my first kind of, because it came from someone I knew too, and that
Yeah.
was dear to me. I
Yeah.
was
When it's
also
close to
very
the heart.
hurt. Yeah, I was hurt that they were like, why don't you give me a cheerleading on the
Yeah.
things that I am doing right instead of going off on one word that makes you uncomfortable? It took me a while to process it and get to the other side of it. I'm not lying on that one. But how would you suggest like something like that? Because this was a tough one for me. It took me a little while to get through that one. And
Yeah.
I know other women
Mhm.
experience it.
We all do. We all do. Yeah. And I think just as you did is like you've got to sit with it for a minute. Is this criticism meaningful? Is this criticism true? Is this, something that maybe I should, tweak something a little bit? And there's a lot of times that you get to the end of that of processing and thinking about things, and then you're like, no, this isn't for me anymore, and you've got to just get rid of
Yeah.
it. And I know
Yes.
it's hard. It's so hard, but I think processing and going through it is the best way to do it because that's what gives you more strength, right? For the next time.
I absolutely
When
agree
the
with you.
next person says, "What is this?"
Yeah.
You've got a little bit more strength to go, "Yeah, I don't care." Hmm.
Yes, I love everything you just said. Well, this is a good one to close our interview on because I think it's very important. And I don't talk about it that often with my other clients that I do these interviews with. And I think it's important, this whole imposter syndrome idea. And you just kind of jarred in me another memory. So, like you said, great advice. It's always good to take the criticism in stride and think about it. Is there something? Could I be missing the mark? Do a little bit of self inventory because it can be very helpful. But you also have to know the source and where it was coming from. Like I knew that this was just a ick. It wasn't a helping me to grow kind of
Yeah.
comment. This was just a person that was uncomfortable with my word, and it was just a word. And what it was really is it was her discomfort about her experiences. And it reminds me because I had another friend and I was doing this whole coaching session with her, and it came about, wealthy woman and treating yourself well and the whole nine yards. And she actually said, she goes, I'm really, I feel uncomfortable about this. And I asked her and I said, well, why? What is it about that is something that like my program that was about that was making her uncomfortable? And she basically said, she goes, well, I kind of grew up feeling like I wasn't deserving of that. And then it hit me. And I said, oh, so sometimes now I realize when I there's a nerve that you're hit, sometimes it's about their own experience and they're just uncomfortable and they don't realize it. And when we worked it out, we had an amazing breakthrough coaching session for her and
Mhm.
she got so transformed and enlightened. And it was interesting because it started out as her discomfort about my approach or my words. And I could have let that be judgment against what I was doing, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that at all.
Hmm.
It had nothing to do with me or my program. In fact, she's so grateful that we went through the whole thing because she saw things in herself that she was initially rejecting or
Hmm.
resisting. And, so I love that. Imposter
Hmm.
syndrome is something we definitely have to get through, right?
We do. We do. Yeah, on
And
every level. And
yeah,
the cards, in the cards, they have a one called the devil. And the devil is somebody that's pushing us forward, whether we like it or not. And
mm,
that's kind of part of that criticism, and is that it's pushing us, um, through our imposter syndrome. Is the devil telling us that we need more education? Is the devil telling us that you're doing just fine? Just relax,
yeah,
but they're pushing us whether we like it or not. And so sometimes
yeah,
that can be hard. But when we listen to that devil and kind of the underlying tone that they're trying to push on us,
yeah.
we can have amazing breakthroughs.
Yeah, I love that. And it kind of one of the things that I like to often say is get comfortable with the uncomfortable because that's where your
Exactly.
true growth is going to
Hmm.
lie. I love that we talked about it because it's like your tarot cards are basically symbols
Hmm.
of life experiences. And then you basically just, pull and extract more out of that to understand what that is meaning for that
Hmm.
person and which path they want to go on. And you're guiding them there.
Yep.
And I really feel like we did a great interview about educating others about this experience, about the enlightenment that is meant to come, the transformations that can come, and the fact that you are just so amazing at what you are doing. And I just feel so grateful that you got to share um, a subject matter that I honestly had no idea really about. I've never had that experience before or knew much about it. And I love that we had this time to kind of get into it and show it that it's really a form of coaching,
Hmm.
basically. It's a
Yeah.
different form of coaching to help someone on their path to have the breakthroughs they're meant to have and have a better life experience overall. So, before we sign off, can you just share again your website, your URL where people can find you?
Yeah, you can find me at tarotreadingsbyrachel.com.
I love it. I want to thank you
You.
so much for being here today and sharing your beautiful energy
Oh,
and
thank you.
it's been beautiful. I'm very excited to get this interview out there. It's really helpful, all the things that you talked about, and it's really good. There's a lot of
Oh,
goodness here. So thank you so
thank
much.
you.
And
Thank you.
well, wealthy women, I told you this would be a very interesting, beautiful interview, and I hope that you can be inspired and, have your path enlightened more after listening. Please reach out to Rachel. She's amazing. And until next week, I wish you a wonderful day and keep going for your dreams and talk to you soon. Bye for now. Now I get the classes, you know the routine. Okay, let's see.